レーニア山もとても美しい火山で強さ、そして忍耐強さ、それらを象徴しています。
So it's perfect that these two parks come together in a sister relationship.
ですからこの富士山のこの国立公園、そしてですねレーニア山の国立公園が2つが姉妹公園になるというのは非常に素晴らしいことなんです。
Across all of America, we have only 63 flagship national parks.
アメリカでは全土にわたり63の国立公園があります。
But as Ambassador Glass said, Mount Rainier was the fifth one created of that back in 1899.
そして大使がおっしゃったようにレーニア山のこの国立公園は1899年に国立公園として設定された5番目の国立公園なんです。
And we are honored to have the sister relationship with Mount Fuji because we know that it is the cultural, artistic, and most beloved image of this country.
そして富士山とこのレーニア山と姉妹公園という協定を結べることを非常に嬉しく思っています。と言いますのもですね、富士山というのは最も愛されている文化的な、そしてアート、芸術的な日本人の心の中心にあるものだからです。
As the Secretary of Interior, it's my honor to oversee all the national parks across America.
アメリカ各地の国立公園を私が監督できることは大変内務長官として素晴らしい嬉しいことなんです。光栄です。
It's an honor to be here with Minister Doi to sign this historic agreement.
またこちらにいらっしゃる土井審議官と共に署名をすることができて大変光栄に思います。
We know that this will be another foundation in the strong relationship between Japan and the United States.
またこの協定がまたさらに日本日米の絆のさらに強固にしていくと信じています。
環境省を代表しまして、ご挨拶申し上げます。
On behalf of the Ministry of Environment, I'd like to give a few words.
石原環境大臣がこの署名式大変楽しみにしておりましたが、国会の都合上今回は欠席という形で代理で参加させていただきます。
Our Minister Ishihara was really excited about this signing ceremony. However, due to the diet duty, he's unable to attend.
大臣は非常に残念がっておりました。
He was terribly disappointed to miss this signing, this opportunity.
本日は大臣が署名した覚書をお持ちしましたので、長官に加えて署名をいただきたいと思っております。
I brought the memorandum of cooperation already signed by our Minister Ishihara. So later on, I'd like to kindly ask to Secretary Burgum to sign it as well.
日本の国立公園制度は2031年に100周年を迎えます。
In 2031, Japan's national park system will celebrate 100th year.
北海道から沖縄まで全国に35の国立公園を持ち、この国立公園はですね、地域の人々とともに国の宝として大切にしてきているものです。
Across Japan, from the northern island of Hokkaido through southernmost island of Okinawa, we have 35 national parks being designated, and each season, each park embraces beauty and rich culture together with local communities, even protecting those Japan's treasures.
我々の日本人の心の宝である国立公園とアメリカ合衆国が大切にされている国立公園が姉妹公園という形で提携できることを心より感謝を申し上げます。
I truly appreciate that we are able to arrange a sister park arrangement together with your national parks. So our treasure national parks will be able to have a sister park arrangement. Your loved national parks in the States. I'm really excited about it and appreciate your effort.
本日の覚書が姉妹公園提携の業務を加速し、それがなされればですね、国立公園がより良くなるというふうに信じておりますし、また そこに住む野生生物の保全などさまざまな分野でも両国の協力が加速化すると期待しています。
On the occasion of signing this memorandum of cooperation, I believe that we'll be able to accelerate all related initiatives related to national parks. And I believe that we were able to further advance the protection of wildlife who live in national parks as well. So I believe that this occasion will advance our cooperation goal.
両国の国民が互いにですね、この姉妹公園を訪れ、楽しんでいくということを期待して本日臨みました。
I am generally hopeful that people in both nations will visit both sister park range and national parks in both nations, and I'd like to. I'm looking forward to happening that. Thank you very much. I'd like to conclude my speech here.
And before I sign,
サインする前に
I wanted, there's a special personal note. I'm quite certain that the only ambassador to Japan that we've ever had who's actually climbed Mount Rainier is Ambassador Lau.
おそらくですね、大使の中でレーニア山に実際登られた大使は大使だけだと思います。
Mount Rainier is quite a difficult climb. This mountain till today has over 25 named glaciers.
でレーニア山なかなか登るのが難しくて25の氷河があります。
And at over 14,000 feet in elevation, it's the highest mountain in the Pacific Northwest.
で太平洋岸に面した北西部でですね、14,000フィート最も高い山でございます。
So I don't want to pre-announce anything, but I think the ambassador is very much looking forward to climbing Mount Fuji.
私最初にお伝えしたくないんですけれども、宣伝したくないですけど、富士山登られると思いますよ。
May I have one for you? Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, everyone.
皆さんありがとうございました。
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, yeah. 寺澤さんがいるよ。寺澤。
All right, everybody. All right, everybody, if I can have your attention, please. Oh, this is going to be a feisty group tonight. Here we go. All right, we're going to kick off this evening. I'd like to welcome everybody for being here tonight. A warm welcome to the newly dedicated MacArthur House. It is a true honor to host this curtain raiser for this weekend's inaugural Indo-Pacific Energy Security Ministerial and Business Forum. That is quite the mouthful, so now I know how they came up with IPEM as the acronym. Let me first extend my sincere thanks to Secretary Burgum. Thank you for coming. Minister Yamada, Administrator Zeldin, Assistant Secretary Hausweit, and Chairman Maeda. And thank you for joining us this evening and for sharing a few words with us shortly. The number of government and business leaders from across the region in this room reflects the accelerating importance of energy to our technology-driven economies. And I cannot think of a better place to host this event than here in Tokyo, Japan. A nation that has faced and overcome many energy challenges during its extraordinary economic rise. With limited natural energy resources of its own, Japan has adapted, it's adjusted, and it has innovated to power its progress. The catastrophic earthquake that devastated communities across northern Japan exactly 15 years ago this week was a stark reminder of our modern economy's reliance on stable energy supplies. Residents in Japan during that time remember well the rolling blackouts and public power saving campaigns to prevent a collapse in the power grid. Japan learned much from the disaster, including the need for strong and reliable energy partnerships with nations like the United States. As AI, advanced chips, and other advanced technologies, this reshapes our industries and societies at an unprecedented rate. Securing dependable sources of energy becomes ever more critical, which is why energy is so central to discussions during President Trump's trip and visit to Japan last October. Those discussions produced commitments to invest in American energy infrastructure projects, cutting-edge technologies that will reinforce American energy dominance and ensure our economies flourish in the years and decades ahead. On the President's very first day in office last year, he promised to unleash affordable and reliable American energy and natural resources. And Japan is helping us do just that. As part of its $550 billion investment into the U.S., Japan announced last month the first 3 projects, which include a natural gas power plant in Ohio and a crude oil terminal in Texas. These investments are far from unique. And over the past year, Japanese companies have pledged billions of dollars to American shale and LNG initiatives. The fact is, the U.S.-Japan Energy Partnership is one founded on America's abundance of natural resources and forged on groundbreaking ideas and smart enterprise. That collaborative spirit helped launch a new energy sector nearly 60 years ago, when American and Japanese experts worked together to ship America's first LNG from Alaska to Japan. Our two nations' energy cooperation has remained just as ambitious since. And today we are joining forces in areas like SMRs, fusion technology, advanced power plant design, and transmission systems. Partnerships like this are key to our ability to fuel digital transformation of our economies, which is already well underway. Right now, data centers account for less than 2% of global energy demand. That figure could hit more than 20% within a handful of years. And that might seem like a conundrum to some, but also it's a great opportunity. That kind of opportunity that the United States has embraced throughout its 250-year history. Since Benjamin Franklin first experimented with electricity, innovation has driven America's energy success. And understanding that energy is fundamental to economic development. America has been a pioneer in every area of its discovery and commercialization, from oil extraction and geothermal power to nuclear fission and fracking, all of which has been made possible through partnerships, whether between scientists, entrepreneurs, companies, or governments. And with more than 10 countries and nearly 200 energy firms represented, at this weekend's gathering, we have a golden opportunity to build partnerships of equal ambition. Partnerships that will deliver energy security for this dynamic region for generations to come. So with that, I want to thank you very much, everybody, for being here tonight. And I want to welcome onto the stage a number of speakers. First and foremost, Secretary Burgum. It is now my honor to be able to introduce somebody that has been named after the general this House now bears. Douglas Burgum is a leader who has made American energy a force for global partnership and security. As the 55th Secretary of the Interior and Chair of the National Energy Dominance Council, he has helped oversee a momentous resurgence in American energy production. A former governor, a technology entrepreneur, a tireless advocate for American industry, Secretary Burgum brings to this forum the conviction of a policymaker and the instincts of a deal maker. Please welcome Secretary Doug Burgum.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you very much, and I want to thank Ambassador Glass and his wife Mary for hosting us in this beautiful, historic location. I want to thank all of you for being here. Your attendance matters. I can say that for all the introductions I've had in my life, this is the first time that someone has actually mentioned how I got my name. And so that is literally a first. And of course, it wasn't that unusual. Back when I was born, Douglas was one of the most popular names in America because of Douglas MacArthur. Last year I got a call and they said, hey, they think the name Doug is making a comeback. And they gave a couple examples why, and then I went up and I used AI to look up most popular birth names, and I told the reporter, I said, yes, we've climbed back into the top 2,000 most popular birth names for 2025, so we must be making a comeback. But I do want to say it is an honor to be here tonight leading this U.S. delegation with senior leaders from across the administration. You're going to hear from one of them or two of them here tonight, but I do want to give a shout out to my fellow cabinet member Lee Zeldin, who's the administrator of the EPA, being here. Fantastic. He's been doing an amazing job helping cut red tape and make everything related to investing in America more, I would say, sane was the word I was going to come up with, but it's also made the country much more ability for your capital to go to work, and that's what important we want to do, and at the same time still protecting our great natural resources. But we've got teams as part of our delegation here from the White House, the Departments of Interior, Energy, and the Environmental Protection Association, members of the National Security Council, the National Energy Dominance Council, which operates out of the White House, U.S. Trade and Development Agency. A special shout out to the leadership there because they're hosting this great event that we're having this weekend. And of course, we've got the chairman of the U.S. Export-Import Ex-Im Bank here with us as well. So an incredible delegation. It reflects the importance of the moment, and it reflects the importance of all of you being here because these are historic and transformational times, and we are entering an era of energy reality. Nations around the globe are starting to understand that energy is inseparable from economic prosperity, and it's inseparable from national security. We're fortunate that our president understands that. And of course, as president, with the energy dominance policy, to explain to those that may not have understood it, it's about energy abundance. It's about having enough energy to be able to sell to our friends and allies in partnership so that they don't have to be buying from our adversaries. Energy dominance and energy abundance is about making sure that you've got reliable, affordable, and secure energy for your own country's prosperity, for your own citizens, and for your own national security. That's what we're working on. And of course, as you can see, the United States is using its leadership and our resources as the #1 oil and gas producing country, the #1 LNG export producing country. In those positions, a credit to President Trump. But through partnerships and policies and innovation and investment, we and our friends and allies may all be on a path towards live in a peaceful and prosperous world. It's exciting to be here in this incredible space, Ambassador, because it's not only distinctly American to be in the MacArthur House, but it's also with our host country for this conference. It's deeply intertwined with Japanese history. It was and we celebrate that history. It was actually here in this room where General MacArthur and Emperor Hirohito met 81 years ago to forge what was the beginning of a powerful and lasting relationship between the countries of Japan and the United States. And so it's fitting that we're all here together to kick off a weekend to deepen the relationship of forging new energy agreements, not just with Japan, but with all of our attendees. We have 17 countries that had signed up. The conference is sold out, and of course, because of the events of the recent weeks, we know that there are many of others that were scrambling to get here because all of a sudden energy security is on everyone's mind again. And this is also a year of gratitude and a year of celebration for the United States because it's our 250th birthday. But it was 125 years ago when President Theodore Roosevelt helped usher in a new era of diplomacy and respect with the Pacific. He recognized in particular Japan's rising place in the world and as a growing global power. And of course, President Roosevelt was the first president to receive the Nobel Prize, and he earned that for his work in mediating a settlement to the Russia-Sino War. And again, that signals America's belief in this area, in this region of the world. But just a few years later after that, while he was still president, he was the one that signed off on the first shipment of cherry trees to come to the United States, which is again in that spirit of friendship, literally took root, quite literally, when Japan then gifted these cherry trees that now bloom each spring in Washington, D.C. Just last week I had the honor in my role of Interior, which includes overseeing our national parks, and the National Mall is part of the National Park System, so I had a chance to actually be on the mall with the team helping to plant a cherry tree a few days ago as part of 250 more that the U.S. is contributing to the redevelopment around the Jefferson Memorial. And just like our partnership between the two countries have grown and flourished over the years, the cherry trees become a symbol of our capital's identity. And every blossom that we heed there, I think as people walk through the beautiful thing, it's very popular to attend DC during that time frame, but it's a renewal of peace and the beauty that we can create through cooperation. It was 125 years ago when TR was president, and now we celebrate the 250 years of independence, 250 years of freedom, 250 years of innovation. And like many of the celebrations that are going on around the country, one of them in my home state is the grand opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. It's at the entrance of the Theodore Roosevelt National Park, one of the 63 flagship national parks in our country. And it was here also where Theodore Roosevelt, overcoming a moment of incredible grief in his life where he lost his mother and his wife in the same day in the same house on Valentine's Day, moved west and reshaped himself and stated that this is where the romance of my life began. And he didn't mean it was about his loved ones. It was the romance of respect for the land and the water and the air and the wildlife. And that lives on today. He's considered the father of American conservation, the architect of our national park system, and it earned him in a spot of honor in America's story. And today, just moments ago, in a room in this building, we added to that story. I had an opportunity with my Japanese counterpart, Minister Doi. We signed a partnership between two iconic mountain peaks on either side of the Pacific. Mount Fuji here in Japan and Mount Rainier in America are both national parks, and we announced a sister relationship between those two. And of course, Mount Fuji, which is rising almost 3,800 meters above the nation, has been the sacred symbol of Japan for more than 1,000 years, a place of pilgrimage, of poetry, of art, and of national identity. And of course, Mount Rainier, which stands at 14,410 feet above the Pacific Northwest, one of the tallest mountains in the lower 48, home to 25 still glaciers that are going on. And I was happy to also announce in the room that our ambassador to Japan is the first ambassador here who has actually climbed Mount Rainier. And so I may be pre-announcing, but I think there'll be plans for a Mount Fuji climb coming up this year. But I know the ambassador is beginning that one. This one's a little lower. It's a little easier. But But by establishing the sister park relationship between these two beautiful and iconic things, we honor not only their majesty, but the shared values they represent of stewardship, of resilience, and the belief that natural wonders belong to future generations. And it's also symbols that we can have a world of energy abundance and take care of our environment at the same time. With innovation, I know that we can do that. This is what we've done in my home state. It's what we're doing in America. So as we celebrate America's 250th year, we look forward to the next 250 years with gratitude for people like you, your partnerships, your ideas, your commitment to building a world of peace and prosperity. And we're grateful to have all of you here today and look forward to being with you at the conference in the coming days. Thank you, Ambassador Glass.
Thank you, Secretary Burgum. And our next speaker serves as Japan's State Minister of Economy, Trade, and Industry. Following a career in banking, Kenji Yamada decided to run for office in 2012 and served in Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, giving him a rare combination of diplomacy, fluency, and economic acuity, which is exactly what this moment and this weekend demands. Please welcome the Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Honorable Secretary Burgum, Honorable Administrator Zerdi, and also Excellency Ambassador Glass, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation for welcoming me at this dinner. I would also like to extend my gratitude to all of you gathered here today. As a co-host of the event, the Indo-Pacific Energy Security Ministerial and Business Forum, which is set to open tomorrow here in Tokyo. As Honorable Secretary Burgum mentioned about the cherry blossoms, Tokyo is truly breathtaking in spring, when the cherry blossoms are in full bloom. At this moment, however, unlike the perfectly prepared forum jointly organized by the United States and Japan, the cherry blossoms are still getting ready. I understand that everyone here has a busy schedule, but if possible, may I suggest staying in Japan for just 2 more weeks so that you can enjoy them at the best condition. The suspension of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz has been posing a significant impact on the global economy, since the Indo-Pacific region receives nearly 80% of crude oil that passes through the strait. The consequence is even more acute for us. If this situation persists, it will inevitably heighten public anxiety and place mounting pressure on our economy. In order to respond decisively to the energy crisis we are now facing, the day before yesterday, Prime Minister Takaichi announced the release and utilization of Japan's oil reserves. Moreover, as Asia's voice in the G7 and the IEA, Japan has consistently sought understanding of the severe circumstances facing our region, while emphasizing on the need for a collective action on a global scale. Together with the United States, Japan catalyzed the IEA's historic decision to make the collective release of 400 million barrels of oil stocks. In these challenging circumstances, it is especially meaningful that the government and business leaders, those on the front lines of this issue, have gathered in Tokyo to discuss energy security. The Indo-Pacific region is truly the engine of the global growth. Some estimates suggest that approximately 80% of the increase in global electricity demand over the next 3 years will come from this region. One question to all of us here today: how will we develop and strengthen the region's energy infrastructure from a long-term and strategic perspective? We are the ones that will shape the Indo-Pacific's energy security structure for decades to come. This forum provides a unique platform where public and private sector leaders from across the Indo-Pacific region come together. As a co-host, Japan is fully committed to ensuring a meaningful custom for all participants. We will do our utmost to facilitate cooperation among governments in addressing regional energy security challenges, and to help support as many concrete private sector projects as possible. Let us join forces to make this forum a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. And our third speaker this evening understands that energy security and environmental stewardship are not conflicting goals, but complementary ones. As the administrator of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Lee Zeldin launched the Powering the Great American Comeback initiative. He knows that meeting the growing energy demands of the Indo-Pacific require not bureaucratic obstruction, but smart, practical frameworks that encourage big investment and big ideas. Please welcome Administrator Zeldin.
Well, thank you, Ambassador and Mrs. Glass. Protecting the environment and growing the economy was looked at as a choice, and you would have to choose one or the other for so long, until President Trump came into office, when he called me up after the election and wanted us to heed the demands of the American public concerned about their economic situation, desperate for government to apply common sense, to be pragmatic, and to ensure that with the power that the people provide us, that we make the most of every minute that we're given this opportunity to serve. President Trump didn't waste any time in signing the executive order on day one to unleash energy dominance. President Trump didn't waste any time to create a National Energy Dominance Council that brings together agencies that for too long were siloed off, focused on their own equities, the Department of Energy, Department of Interior, and EPA, and Commerce, and Treasury. They would all be focused on the same issues, but not sitting there with a president in the Oval Office repeatedly, every few weeks, to get in the weeds on specific projects that are incredibly important to deliver for the American people. One of the things that has been most impressive about President Trump and our interaction with him since he was sworn in for this term is that when we, the members of the National Energy Dominance Council, meet with him, we can walk in there with overall topics, but we all better be prepared for very specific probing questions about projects, whether it's a new LNG pipeline in Alaska, it's a new natural gas pipeline in the northeast United States, there's a new natural gas multi-billion-dollar expansion in the Southwest. President Trump is asking about specific small modular reactors and retrofits, new nuclear projects. He's asking us about specific coal plants that were slated to shut down because of government policies that were trying to strangulate them out of existence. When we sit down with the president, he is talking about rare earth, critical minerals, the supply chain, from extraction from the ground through the end of the process. He wants to know how the United States can bolster our strength, our resiliency when it comes to magnets and batteries and chips and more. And it has reminded us not just to be sharp when preparing to meet with the President, but to make sure that our teams in every moment are making the most of every day to serve the public during this time of a term that will go by fast. There are so many in this room who would not be here today if not for President Trump's directive from day one to do everything in our power to ensure that everything here, from critical minerals to rare earth to energy independence and so much more, reducing our reliance on nations that we can't trust and getting closer to nations where we have historic partnerships that through this weekend will only grow stronger. Secretary Burgum spoke about a 250th anniversary that we are celebrating right now in the United States. As we look to the future, I'm excited to think of how much stronger our nations will become between the United States and Japan. President Trump interacted with many world leaders during his first term. He interacts with many world leaders during this term. But it feels like Prime Minister Abe had a very special place in the heart of President Trump. A close friend, somebody who maybe it was a bond over a round of golf. Maybe he was talking about world peace and the alliance between two nations that through and across the Pacific, their bond, their strength will allow these nations in this partnership to only get closer. And I feel like with a new Prime Minister and a President sworn in for a new term, that this bond and this future is limitless in the manner in which it grows. So I'm excited to be here. Our team from the Environmental Protection Agency is thrilled to be here. A great team with the White House National Energy Dominance Council, and the Executive Director, Jared Egan, is here, and his team, led by our Chairman, Secretary Burgum, our Vice Chairman, Secretary Wright, and others who are certainly here in either spirit or with us after a brief flight from Washington, D.C. Minister, you have a very important job here in this country. And over the course of the coming days, I would just like to say that our reason for being here is extraordinarily purposeful. While we come here sharing opening greetings for the start of a forum, there's a lot of very important work for us to discuss in the next 2 days. And I'm confident in many ways this is going to be historic, with deals that are being reached, with projects and initiatives that will be forged, and hopefully as we look back at what brought us here for this visit is one that yields extraordinary results that are well worth everyone's time. Greetings on behalf of President Trump. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited about the days to come.
Thank you, Administrator. Our next speaker is a petroleum engineer by training, a third-generation energy worker by heritage, so he feels right at home at the U.S. Department of Energy. As the Assistant Secretary for Energy for Hydrocarbons, Geothermal, Energy, Kyle Husveit oversees a $5 billion R&D portfolio that spans oil, natural gas, coal, and critical minerals. You're a very, very busy man, so please welcome the Assistant Secretary. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Ambassador Glass. Thank you all for being here. I can tell you that America is better off, the world is better off, because President Trump is leading. We have incredible leaders here with us. Secretary Burgum, Administrator Zeldin, Secretary Wright sends his best. These leaders know how important energy is. They understand that energy fuels human prosperity, and they understand that the three most important characteristics of energy is that it's affordable, reliable, and secure. We've heard the 250-year celebration. We're very proud and excited for that. but I want to paint a picture of what can happen in just 10% of that time frame. 25 years ago, America was the leader in LNG imports. Secretary Burgum talked about today we lead the world in LNG exports. So it's an inspiration that a transformation can occur, and I believe that the deals that will occur this week can be the seeds that spur into massive opportunities, transformations for Japan, for the Indo-Pacific region, and for our allies across the world. 25 years ago, we were importing LNG. We were trying to figure out how to produce more oil. And through partnership, through innovation, through our national labs, we cracked the code. We figured out how to extract resource from rock that was once thought to be Loctite. The shale revolution unlocked gas first and then oil, taking us from a net energy importer to net energy exporter, moving us from energy reliant to energy independent in 2018 to today being energy dominant. Secretary Burgum talked about what energy dominance means. It means we can share with our friends and allies across the world. One of the first things President Trump did when he entered office was he ended the horrendous LNG pause for the Biden era. He did that so we could serve our allies and friends across the world. Since that occurred, the Trump administration has approved 18 BCF per day of new LNG export facilities that will be built in the next few years. It'll take the U.S. from exporting 16 BCF today to almost double that in just 3 years, 30 BCF per day of LNG export. Reliable, affordable, secure LNG that our allies can rely on. And that's what we want to be known as. We want to be a reliable partner. We know how important energy is. You need it around the clock. It has got to be there day and night. So we're looking forward to the dialogue, deepening relationships, and many great deals. So thank you for the hospitality. We're excited for the next 2 days.
And now for our final guest speaker this evening, as chairman of the board for Japan Bank for International Cooperation. Tadashi Maeda is his expertise in the financing of large-scale infrastructure projects is very, very deep. He has held numerous positions at JBank, including Director General of the bank's Energy and Natural Resources Finance Department. And besides everything else, he's been a wonderful friend and a wonderful partner of the United States of America. So thank you very much. Please welcome him up.
Ambassador George Secretary Burgum, and Excellency, distinguished guests of honors from the United States. It's my real privilege to deliver my remarks, speech in front of all distinguished guests. I am now taking the responsibility of deployment of $550 billion investment, strategic investment from Japan to the United States. Our staffers all days, now working on this issue. And then I spent 80 minutes meeting with Secretary Burgum in the Office of the Department of Interior in middle of February. He, despite his very busy schedule, he kindly spared those times, very valuable time for me, to discuss a lot. And then JBIC, we are financing, not just only debt financing, we are doing equity investment, and also that not just only that equity investment to the individual project, we are doing a lot of that kind of like capital deployments, like the private equity, and also that the venture capital that we have been already established the fund for focus on startup in Nordic and Baltic regions. The name of the fund is Nordic Ninja. The Nordic Ninja one is invested into 21 startups, and out of 21, 4 already became unicorn. And therefore, we created the second Ninja Fund, and now, or finished the fundraising, and now that we are preparing for start. And also, that we are doing a lot in investment into the Ukraine and the Western Balkans. by means of this venture capital that focus on startup. There are many undervalued startup in the region, so that's not just only that supporting the Ukraine for reconstruction, but I think that this is vitally important for Japan and other partners to support Ukraine because of they know pro and cons of the Russian weaponry. And therefore that in this regard, strategic sense, this is very important to keep the Ukraine as a group. For Japan, that we are very important to be with the NATO partners, but NATO is only North Atlantic, therefore that we are now to the scope of the NATO. However, that we are doing the GCAP together with the UK and Italy to be on the interoperabilities of fighter jet with NATO's. That's very important. So we are global strategy that on the energy security is far most important, including critical minerals. And we have been investing into that Linus. To get Jogmec and one of the trading companies, so it's already invested to Linus, Australian company. It's a rare earth segment because in 2010, after that nationalization of Senkaku Island by Prime Minister Noda, at that time I was special advisor to Office of Prime Minister. Well, I'm one of the witnesses that China put on a ban on exports of rare earth elements to Japan as a retaliation. So so we know how they behave. We know how Russia behave. I know how the North Korea behave. Therefore, that global partnership and among that real partners, real friends, is vitally important. In this regard, I was in office of Secretary Burgum in the middle of February. Kindly spend 80 minutes for me, and as we discussed many projects, including Alaska Energy. My good friend, Senator Dan Sullivan from Alaska, he and I are friends since he was the Bush 43 White House. But we very long track records of my working with a Republican administration, not only the Trump administration, but Bush 41, Bush 43. So that's I was in Washington for altogether 7 years, all Republican administration time, by coincidence. But it's a good honor to now another Trump administration that Your Excellency referred to the Prime Minister Abe. I was played role of Prime Minister Abe's special envoy to UAE. I had a meeting with then Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. I carried his personal letter of Prime Minister Abe to him, so that I discussed a strategic relationship with UAE, in particular with Abu Dhabi, with him. So that we provided finance to ADNOC 7 times. Altogether, we provided 24 billion US dollars to ADNOC, to Abu Dhabi. So that we're now working on that in third countries like Kingdom of Morocco. We allow that ADNOC to use proceeds of my financing in third countries like Kingdom of Morocco. So that Kingdom of Morocco is the linchpin between the European continent and also that sub-Saharan Africa. So that our kind of scope of data is a global. Not just only that the US-Japan, but US-Japan relationship is a real linchpin, I believe, that most robust, very important alliance. And then I was in the Office of Prime Minister when that disaster of a tsunami and of a great earthquake happened, that's devastating the nuclear accident in Fukushima. Many countries of embassies evacuated from Tokyo to Osaka and other western parts. But US, UK remained in Tokyo. We helped that. We have been working on Operation Tomodachi. So that friendship in rainy days is a real friendship. I believe that it's vindicated already that the US-Japan relationship is a far most important issue. That's why I'm now, I'm a very old man, I'm almost 70 years old, but still I'm working on because of this friendship, because I have a good track record of financing. And in the year 1994, I returned from Washington, D.C. to Tokyo, in terms of percentage share of global GDP, nominal GDP of Japan was 17.8% at the time. 30 years later, 2024, our share is less than 4%. Now, in 1994, Chinese share is only 2%, but now 17%. And very remarkably, that US share, same, 1994 and 2024. It's a 26.8%. It means that global GDP has been growing for over 3 decades by 400%. So it means the US growth is 400%. Unbelievable, but we need to make really economic growth. We have to more focus on economic growth using our strategy. We have a very good technology base. We have good manufacturing base. Therefore, Japan just completed a deal of deployment of frigates to Australia. After Vessel 4, those frigates must be manufactured in Western Australia. So that we need some of partnership with Australia. Vocational training for engineers is very important. We are going to do the same thing with the United States. Now, President Trump's first agenda is to revitalize manufacturing sector. This is very important. Not just only the state of consumption, that manufacturing is very, very important for the decades to come. We, Japan, we may have to contribute to revitalize U.S. manufacturing, including shipbuilding. That's why I'm doing not just only that LNG, but also that shipbuilding, for example, icebreakers. For example, in Alaska, the United States needs icebreaker, but U.S. doesn't possess any icebreakers. Therefore, that Japan and maybe with the Republic of Korea, we can cooperate together. It's my desire. So that in this weekend, I believe that any bilateral discussion will be made between Japan and the United States and other countries, including many like-minded countries. I do hope that these meetings will be very valuable and to make additional value to this robust area. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So one of the great things about Japan is the tradition of toasting at the end. So if we can, everybody grab a glass. Gentlemen, do you want to come up also? Secretary? That way I don't have to toast alone. So, looking forward to tomorrow's conference for the next 2 days. I can only hope there's tremendous success and that we are so blessed to be able to have such great leaders from America here to participate. So I look forward to seeing everybody and talking as the weekend goes on. But to that, I have to say, come by. Come by. Come by. Cheers, cheers. Thank you.